The break apart strategy is another strategy that can help you with adding. It's usually best for adding larger numbers, usually ones that are about 3 digits or more. So let's look at the steps of this together. The first step when using the break apart strategy is that you want to estimate the answer. You do this first so that once you get an answer, you can see if you were close. If your real answer and your estimate are close, you know you're probably right when you have your real answer. And then you're going to break apart the add-ins. Those are the things you're adding together. And then after you have them broken apart into their place value, you'll add those place values together and then put it back together into one number. When you're all done, like I said, you check to see if your answer is close to the estimate. Now, let's go ahead and do an example of this so that these steps make some sense. Now, when you're using the break apart strategy, first you're going to look at what's in the largest place. So right now, the hundreds place is the largest place. I have a 3. That 3 isn't just a regular 3. Since it's in the hundreds place, it stands for 300. Let me go ahead and write that. Okay, so I wrote 300. Now I'm going to add, or write the next number that is in the next place value. So I have this 5 here, and that's not just a regular old 5, it's in the tens place. So I know that that 5 actually stands for 50. Okay, so then I went ahead and I made an addition sign and I added that 50. And then I went ahead and I had that I had that 5 that was in the ones place. And since it's in a ones place, this time it actually does stand for 5. So when I take 355 and I write it out in an expanded way, I get 300 plus 50 plus 5. I'll do that same thing with my second add-in. I have a 4 here that's in the hundreds place. Then I have a 1 that's in the tens place. And then a 4 in the ones place. When I write this out, it will make 400 plus 10 plus 4. Okay, so I went ahead and I broke apart the add-ins. And now I have to add each place value. The reason why we could use this strategy is sometimes it can make it easier to think about the place values. So 5 plus 4 is 9, so I can go ahead and write 9 over there. Now I have, if I can get my notebook the right way, I have 50 plus 10, and that's going to be 60. And now I have 300 plus 400, and that gives me 700. Now that I have all of these written out, I can go ahead and I'm going to put them back together. This time, to help me put them back together, I'm going to circle the part that I need to push together each time. I circled the 7, the 6, and the 9 because that was in the front of each of those. I'll put them together over here to make 769. Okay, you can kind of see by the arrows that all of those stayed in the same place. My 7 stood for 700, and it's still in the hundreds place. My 6 stood for 6 tens, so that's still in the tens place. And my 9 stood for 9 ones, so that still moved to the 9th place. Now, I have to do the last step. Check if the answer is close to the estimate. Oh no, I forgot to estimate in the beginning, so let's do that now. 355, if I'm estimating to the nearest 100, that's going to be 50 or above, so I give it a shove, so that'll be 400. And then 414, so that's going to be 49 or less, so I'll let it rest. That'll just be 400. So my estimate is 400 plus 400, and that makes 800. Let me write down my estimate. Okay, so my estimate was 800, and that's not that far away from 769. So I know that my estimate might be correct. Or my, I'm sorry, I worded that wrong. My real answer might be correct, because it's pretty close to my estimate. If one of these was way, way far away, say this said 169, I'd think, that's really nowhere close to 800. So this is probably not correct. I might want to go back and fix it. Let's do one more example of how to use this strategy. This time we're going to throw in a trickster number. Okay, so this time I have 343 plus 259. So first I'm going to estimate what the answer might be. I have, with 343, 43 is 49 or less. I'm going to let it rest. So that means that this will stay at 300. And I have 259, and 59 is 50 or more, so I'm going to add one more over here. That'll give me 300. 300 plus 300 gives me 600, so that's why I wrote that right here as my estimate. I'll put an EST next to it so I remember it's my estimate. Okay, now that I finished step 1, remember step 1 was to estimate the answer, I'll go ahead and do step 2, and that's breaking apart my add-ins. I have 300 plus 40 plus 3, and then here I have 200 plus 50 plus 9. Let me write those out. Okay, I wrote those out, and I made sure that I kept each place stacked on top of itself. So the 100s place is all stacked up, the 10s places are all stacked up, and the 1s places are all stacked up. Let me go ahead and add those together now. 9 plus 3 is going to give me 12. $40 plus 50 is going to give me 90. And, let me get this lined up, sorry. And 300 plus 500, or 300 plus 200 is going to give me 500. Maybe you noticed that when I was over here in the 1s place, and I got 12, that ends up being more than one place. So I have to do something here. I need to move a set of 10 from here over to this column, to the 10s column. I never want to have more than just a single digit in the 1s column. Okay. So I told myself here with a little note, I'm just, you don't always have to write it out this way. I do it this way so that hopefully it makes more sense. I moved my 10 or my set of 10 over to this column. And so then, that made it so instead of 90, I now have 100. Now we have another problem, because you can't have something that's worth 100 in the tens column. If it's worth 100, it's got to be in the hundreds column over here. So I'm going to move a set of 100 over here. Let's see if I have anything left, and then what happens in my hundreds column. Okay, now that I've regrouped these, 100 has nothing left in the ones place and nothing left in the tens place, so I just bumped the whole thing over here. I don't have 500 anymore because I added that set of 100. Now I have 600. Now that I did all of that moving around with my numbers, trying to make sure everything was grouped into the right place value, I can go ahead and circle the beginning parts of each one and make sure that I can put my number back together for my answer over here. Okay, so I circled the 6 from 600, and then I crossed out the 1 in 100. I didn't want to confuse myself, because I have to remember that's not there anymore. That moved over here. So now I just have 0 over here. And then I did the same thing here. I crossed out my 1 that was in number 12, because that's not really there anymore. Remember, we moved it here? So now it's just the 2 that's left in front. So altogether I have 602. Alright, now that I have gotten that answer, it took some work, but I did get to it. I can check if my actual answer is close to my estimate. My estimate was 600, and my real answer was 602. So I know that this sounds reasonable. It sounds like it's probably right, because 602 is really close to 600. So I end with my answer of 602.